places I just mentioned.
Kafner, WJR News. And now, Paul W. Smith.
Good morning, everyone.
The Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760, WJR.
Now, it's up to you, America. Eyes on Michigan as U.S. goes to polls. The clerks, I've never seen anything like this. Early voting changing the landscape. We know it all, but here's what we know for sure. It's Election Day 2020, Tuesday, November 3rd, the 308th day of 2020. There are 58 days left in the year. Make each and every day count. Each day is a gift. And that is the truth, my friend. This is a blessing. This is a special day. It seems to go without saying now that nearly 100 million of us have already voted. But today is the important day. This is when the other 12 people will actually get out and vote today. So please exercise your franchise if you haven't already exercised your franchise off. And many of us have. The team who will be bringing you information throughout the day. Well, who's kidding? Who? The team that will bring you information throughout the days ahead of us before we know who the president of the United States is or will continue to be. Boy, that's an interesting feedback situation. But you know, it came and went. There's Dick Hafner, our WJR News Director, is going to be working into the early morning hours. I'm not sure why, Richard. You won't have any real answers for us. Well, no, you won't, because even the local, everything's going to be affected by this. Although we just keep talking about the presidential election, all those local races you're talking about are in the same boat.
No, that's right. Well, why I'm here this morning. I'll be here tonight. I'll be here tomorrow morning. Of course, God willing.
You're spending the night.
Why do yes. Why do I do it? It's a habit.
You do it because it's important to you to get it right to our listeners. I know the feeling of obligation that we have to our listeners.
What I do.
Radio station.
It's what I do.
It's what I do.
It's what Obama. You do. And thank you for that. Yeah. What an answer.
It's what I do.
It's one of his lucky 3-pointer shots. It's what I do. He was just that way. You know, I got to tell you, when we were lucky enough to be at the White House for their Christmas party with President Obama, I said to Kim, the First Lady was gracious and knew that she was standing in line with people who had been invited to their house at that point, the White House. And she was so engaged. And I turned to her and I said, you know, he seemed like he wanted to go out back of the White House and shoot some hoops more than be where he was standing and getting his picture taken and all of that. But that be that as it may, he loves the game and he's pretty doggone good at it. Dana Clark is pretty doggone good at her job as well. Traffic, weather, thoughts, comments, opinions. We appreciate that, Dana. Good morning.
Good morning.
Brian Morton. Brian said the same thing happened to him at CVS, where he'd get a text like I was talking about just before it came on the air, and they'd say to pick up your prescription. You go all the way over there, and they go, we don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, as happened to me yesterday. So Brian said that used to happen to him all the time. Brian is here taking care of business. He just started that traffic sounder. I can hear, I think, a little bit in the background, so I better hurry up. Kim in the southernmost portion of Michigan, checking in, helping out, and of course, running the show by the clock. We have our executive producer, Ann Thomas. Good morning, Annie.
Good morning, Deb. Happy voting day.
Happy voting day. It's a big day, folks. If you are one of the few that haven't voted yet, this is the day. And I love it if you've waited to vote. I thought I could have been out of town. I might have been out of town. So I'm glad I'm here. I could go and vote again because I think my candidate could use the extra vote. No, I'm just kidding. I think. It is 5:44 WJR.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
We're all feeling the weight of COVID-19, but for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassion International and provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393.
Let's check it here as we approach 5:45, our WJR Traffic and Weather. First, the one and only, the amazing Dana Clark.
Thanks, Paul W. Couple of disabled vehicles out there. 94 westbound at Range Road, disabled vehicle blocks the right shoulder. And this disabled vehicle in St. Clair is abandoned. It's been there for several days. 94 eastbound at Gratiot Road, that right shoulder is blocked. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
Clear sky and sunshine greets us on this election day morning. A little on the chilly side, a stiff breeze early, but that'll quickly back down. Mostly sunny, 56 later today. Tonight, now we got a pair of fours, 44, and the outlying areas in the 30s. Sunny tomorrow, highs in the mid-60s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
Alrighty, Rush Limbaugh. I just was catching a thing here about study for 30 years, people eating fried foods at a 46% higher rate of heart disease. Yikes. Fried food, red meat, and there was one other, I was trying to find out what it was, that cause inflammation. Foods, I've read all about foods that are supposed to help reduce inflammation. I don't think I remember reading too much about foods that cause inflammation. Boy, that's a list we're going to have to get, Annie, and talk about with somebody.
Yes.
Because that's the 30-year study. That's pretty significant. Meanwhile,
Everything I love is killing me.
yeah, that's true. If you are what you eat, you're a bunch of buttermilk fried chicken.
Oh, jeez.
Which is not a bad thing to be as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, Rush Limbaugh is with us here on this Tuesday, Election Day morning. I wonder what he has to say for us before his noon to 3 show this afternoon. Let's find out, Rush.
Last Thursday, the last economic growth number before Election Day was released. President Trump had hinted that it was going to be good, but I mean, it was stupendous. Our economy grew by 33.1% in the third quarter. That is massive. It's off the charts. It's the best in history. It's the V-shaped recovery the president predicted. Now, of course, the drive-by media downplayed it. Get this. The AP headline, U.S. economy grew at 33% rate in Q3, but recovery is incomplete. The AP is blaming COVID-19, but there's only one reason the recovery could be incomplete. It's a bunch of Democrat governors refuse to open their states, refuse to allow businesses to get back to normal, refuse to let citizens be free again on purpose. No, it's not about the coronavirus because we know, and these Democrats know how to treat it and how to protect the vulnerable. Today, you get to decide what happens to the American recovery. With Joe Biden, you can forget any growth. He's promising to raise taxes on businesses that are struggling to survive. He's going to tax the hell out of everybody and everything to pay for the radical left-wing agenda, including this Green New Deal. With President Trump, we're going to get a robust economic growth that builds on our success before the virus struck. It's up to you, folks. Vote as if your country depends on it, because it does.
Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3 today, right here on WJR.
Dubster, who did that study? Do you know?
Harvard. I was just trying to get more of the information.
Harvard
did the study over a 30-year period. Food that causes inflammation, red meat, fried foods, and refined sugars.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the third one, refined sugars. 30-year study through Harvard. And to counteract that, they say to eat lots of green leafy vegetables. We've heard this before.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Again, I had trouble with the third item about things to eat. It sounded like they said green leafy vegetables, whole grains, and coffee. That's not a food group. I may have misunderstood the third one. We know already that there are great benefits to drinking coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at least the last studies, the last reports out there were about that.
For
It's
us, there are
T-shirt-
great benefits to drinking coffee,
Well, there's
like being here.
yeah,
in a
I
way
mean,
at
there's
this
just
time.
no way to do an early morning radio show. In the old days, poor guys on the air would be drinking their coffee and smoking cigarettes nonstop.
Oh man,
I mean, I remember that so clearly because
Me
you're
too.
just sitting here. It's perfect. Coffee, cigarette, coffee for people who used to do that. It was crazy. Anyway, it's T-shirt Tuesday. And mine is more prominent just because it's the big letters. I felt my school needed a boost after the weekend. So, it's at a time like this that you show your loyalty to your school when they're down. So
very nice. Yes,
they're down.
Nice
So
Michigan
my
shirt.
Michigan T-shirt. What do you guys have on?
mine is Love Michigan. This is my
Oh,
love.
another
Oh, yeah. Very
Michigan.
nice. Very good.
Nice. I have on a good old throwback, dependable T-shirt. Adidas.
Adidas. Yeah.
Adidas. Love Adidas.
How's that battle go between Nike and Adidas?
That's a good. There used to be a big time battle, but now that's a good question. I wonder how it's going between
I
them.
don't really know. I
Mhm.
don't know. And then we had another one that was coming on strong, and then they ran into all kinds of troubles. But the one guy that came and talked at the Cranes homecoming a few years ago,
Uh-huh.
I can't think of the name of the company now. But anyway, they've run into some troubles. They had made some great guesses and got very lucky with a couple of golfers they were sponsoring.
Hmm.
Anyway, someone's yelling at the radio the name of the company. I just can't remember it. Annie, what are you
The
wearing?
Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760.
And Dick,
WJR.
Dick, you have a T-shirt on, Dick?
No, I forgot.
Okay.
My brain is all election all the time. I forgot
gotcha.
this is T-shirt Tuesday.
You know what I realized?
I do have a T-shirt on underneath.
There you go.
T-shirt under a T-shirt.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's sweatshirt Saturday.
Well,
Pretty soon.
God
My
willing, we'll make
calendar all
it to
messed up.
Sweatshirt Saturday. It is 5:52. We have the whole gang listening in now on 760 on the AM dial and WJR social media on this election day 2020. It's going to be unlike any other. Meanwhile, this is not exactly what I was thinking of, but Generation Z loves Adidas. Baby boomers buy Coach.
Mhm.
The most popular resale brands of every generation. I'm trying to think of the Under Armour. That's
Oh.
what I was thinking of. The guy that
Okay.
came to the
Mhm.
homecoming and all of that. And remember, it was a big deal because the owner was there. He was being
Yes.
or the president and CEO, if he was, I don't know if he wasn't the owner, but was being interviewed by Dan Gilbert, and they were opening a big store here. I think they did. I'm not sure. Anyway, they were coming on strong. A couple of good bets on golfers turned out really well for them.
Mhm.
But I don't know why, but they ran into some troubles. Meanwhile, I guess virtually everything we talk about today. What number are we telling people to call in on? 859
1-800-859-0 WJR.
07. Is it zero? Not 7. 0 WJR. That's 0957.
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay.
To 0 WJR. 1-800-859-0 WJR.
All right. And so we are going to leave the phones. We don't ever get a chance to do this, but we didn't book a bunch of guests so that we could, in fact, in this busy morning schedule, give you a chance to be heard. You may want to tell us you're on your way to voting. You may want to tell us you already did. We want you to tell us the experience, whether it was a week ago or this morning when the polls open they open at 8 and close at 9, or do they open at
They open
7?
at 7 and close at 8.
7 and close at 8.
Open at
7 and 8.
7 and close at 8. 7 to 8. Okay.
Just remember, 78.
78 is a good way to remember it. So I'll be fascinated to hear if it's really busy anywhere.
Me too.
Fascinated. With nearly 100 million people. I joked in my column yesterday, and believe me, I hope it was a joke, but it was like nearly everyone who's going to vote has voted, but that's not true. There are a lot of people who traditionally, and I appreciate this a lot, will go and vote today. This is a big deal on this election Tuesday, November 3rd. So there's a lot more voting to be done. After we get through that, it will be dependent on each state's rules as to when they could have started counting those votes. For example, in Michigan, they couldn't start counting them until today, probably until the polls open.
That's right. Yes.
So
accurate. That's accurate.
That's a lot of counting that they have to do. They've hired extra people, and I don't know exactly how it works, but supposedly there is someone from both parties sitting together as they go through the votes or something like that. Does anyone know for sure how that works?
Dick, how does that work? I'm not exactly sure.
There are watchers that are there, but the official watcher is under the Secretary of State. If you're talking about where they're counting the ballots.
And the people who are actually counting them. I thought there was something said about that there were always two people overseeing. Maybe not.
There can be.
That'll be interesting. That's for sure. It's a lot of trust that we now put in to everybody. The other story, of course, continues to be that our Michigan coronavirus cases are up to 184,889, with the death toll of friends, family, loved ones, neighbors, colleagues, 7,357. It doesn't sound as much as it did a few days ago. I don't know. Do we think that the governor is going to come out with new rules, go step back a couple of steps? Do we have any idea? Anybody? Any guesses?
I think so.
You think that's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Today is, among other things, National Sandwich Day, which is why I had a grilled cheese sandwich in advance of National Sandwich Day. It is 5:57 at WJR.
Velveeta.
No, good old Velveeta. WJR Traffic and Weather. First and Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
We're all feeling the weight of COVID-19, but for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassion International and provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393.
Dana, take it away.
Okay, disabled vehicle 94 westbound at Range Road. This is blocking the right shoulder. In St. Clair, abandoned disabled vehicle has been out there for a couple of days. 94 eastbound after Gratiot Road. That is also blocking the right shoulder. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Expecting a little bit of a warm up today. Lots of sunshine on this election day. A high of 57 tonight. Clear skies, low 44. On Wednesday, hump day, we get more sunshine. A high of 65. Overnight low on Wednesday, not bad at all, down to just 50. On Thursday, mostly cloudy skies and a high of 64. Clear skies, 39 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in 2 minutes.
This is fascinating. The editorial board of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette gives a pretty good editorial about the issues regarding Donald Trump. I'd almost like to read the whole thing, but I'm not going to. It's basically they talk about his faults. Donald Trump is not Churchill, to be sure. No, he's not Churchill, but he gets things done. He is not a unifier. He often acts like the president of his base, not the whole country. He's done nothing to lessen our divisions and has, in fact, often deepened them. The convictions and intellect of all Americans should be respected by all Americans, especially the president. But it goes on to say, but if you look at his record under the Donald Trump economy pre-COVID, it boomed like no time since the 50s. Look at your 401k over the past 3 years. Unemployment for Black Americans lower than it has ever been under any president of either party. Under Mr. Trump, our trade relationships have vastly improved and our trade deals have been rewritten. Thanks to him, Middle America is on the map again, and the Appalachian and hourly worker has some hope. Has Mr. Trump done enough for these struggling fellow citizens? No, but he recognized them. Maybe he was not articulate, but he recognized their pain. No one ever asked the American people or the people in flyover country if they wanted to send their jobs abroad until Mr. Trump. He's moved the debate in both parties from free trade, totally unfettered, to managed or fair trade. He's put America first, just as he said he would. He also kept his promise to appoint originalists to the Supreme Court. Anyway, they go on to explain why that this is the first time they have supported a Republican for president since 1972. This is the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
I'm trying to figure out for you, Dub, exactly how these mail-in ballots are counted. It's interesting. There are 51 communities that went to the Secretary of State under new Michigan law and said that they wanted to pre-process the ballot, which means they can open it up, take it out of the secret envelope, and set it aside. So there's been some pre-processing for 51, and most of them big communities. And then my question, though, goes to your question about how exactly, once they start counting, how are they counted?
Yeah, there's no bigger responsibility than the people who open those things after we put them in that little secret sleeve,
right,
with just the number showing. Now they're taking them out of the secret sleeve, and that's a pretty big job, and you have to really depend on the integrity of every person who is in that kind of position doing that.
And that's kind of the same for voting day, too, because even though you put it in the machine, somebody has to take it out of the machine, and then they have to process those, too. I mean, that's what people are doing today, working at the polls, is a very important,
Very important. And we have a lot more young people now that they have hired into these positions, interestingly enough.
Stephanie answers this for us. My sister is a volunteer. Stephanie is on our.
Oh, good.
She says, my sister is a volunteer for voting day. She said there are 2 witnesses, one from each party. If there isn't volunteers, then there's a chance both witnesses are from the same party. Hence, it's imperative to have enough volunteers from both parties.
So it's based on how many volunteers they have to put in those positions.
Yeah, interesting.
This is
thank you, Stephanie.
Nice time to say thank you to Stephanie and hello to all of our Paul's pals. We've kind of taken to calling them now, the people that get up with us and actually watch us as well as listen to us. We love this first part of the show when we get to kind of share what goes on behind the scenes with you. And that's right, it is the Earl of Sandwich, not sandwich or sandwich. I think Steve used to say, I had a good sandwich, Steve Courtney. This is from Foodimentary, telling us that November 3rd is Sandwich Day, National Sandwich Day, that Kim sent along. This concoction didn't get its name until 1762, when the 4th Earl of Sandwich, John Montague, a British statesman, got hungry during a marathon poker game. And he needed food, and it was sandwich. What is the most popular sandwich in America?
PB&J. Peanut butter and jelly.
It's a good one to choose. Peanut butter and jelly, because the average American, average American will have consumed 1,500 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches by the time they graduate high school. 1,500. For once, a number I agree with. Probably true. But yes, and the most popular sandwich is a ham sandwich, and there are many of us who think you can't have a ham sandwich without mayonnaise.
I know.
And cheese.
Ham and cheese with mayo. That's
ham and cheese with mayo.
It's a really good sandwich.
If I would have yesterday when I stopped by Where did I say I stopped by for the sandwich?
I don't know. Someplace by the
It was
CVS.
right next to the CVS. Anyway, it was a grilled cheese. I really needed tomato soup, just plain tomato soup. I ended up with a 10 vegetable soup, which also sounded like it was probably pretty good for me. The most expensive sandwich ever sold was a grilled toast sandwich that seemed to have an image of the Virgin Mary on it, and it sold for $28,000 in 2004. What did you do with that sandwich that appeared to have the image of the Virgin Mary on it?
Frame it.
And watch it
Put
turn
it in a
green?
little
Shellac
shadow.
it. You'd have to like put shellac on it or something.
Right,
Put it in a
right.
case.
Yes.
I don't know.
Jeez. That's crazy. That's when you maybe have too much money. If you're looking for a sign,
that could be it.
$28,000
Yeah.
a number of years ago for a sandwich. It looked like it had the Virgin Mary on it.
On a more serious note, isn't that terrible, that Vienna attack?
Oh, geez.
You wouldn't expect to see that in Vienna.
Or Nice the other day.
Or Nice the other day. On top of coronavirus, now in Europe, they're starting to see a lot of trouble. They've got 4 dead now in that attack by an ISIS sympathizer. That's really unfortunate.
It's really bad.
Yeah. And that was like the night before they were going to be closing everything down again.
For COVID. So a lot of people were out getting it out of their system to be out and about, which made them perfect targets. You know, isn't it interesting, really fascinating when you think of it, that we haven't been hearing about many of those kinds of problems.
Exactly.
Lately.
Right. No, you're totally right.
So there's, I suspect they're trying to, some way or another, throw us off our game during the election and
The Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760 WJR.
Good Tuesday morning to you. This is it. It's up to us now. For those who have not yet voted, this is the final day. Although it may seem like people are voting all this week, the votes have to be in. On this Tuesday, November 3rd, the 308th day of 2020, with 58 days left in the year. Make each and every day count. Each day is a gift. And you have to have your vote on the way in order for it to count, even if it comes a couple, 2-3 days later. And I stand up for the U.S. Postal Service, because the U.S. Postal Service, to me, are the individuals and the specific individual that makes my mail delivery. I think they do a fabulous job. They work tremendous hours and work hard to get the mail to us. I don't mention that postal carrier's name because I've quoted a couple of things about some of the upper level management, and I don't want anyone to tie it back to any individual postal person, because that's not fair. I don't want any of those kinds of problems that might happen. The new election buzzword, what do you think it is?
That's tough. I don't know.
Buzzword.
Patience. Because that's what we're all going to need. Patience.
Good one.
And I'm going to put my confidence in the people in the, this is unusual, I know, but in the people in the primary, institutional, mainstream, call them what you will, media. Because what they do over the next couple of days could cause great disruption in this country if they act irresponsibly. And the reason I don't have a lot of hope is they have acted irresponsibly for a long time in this election. Now I say they better be very careful in any declarations that have to be changed, because that is going to wreak havoc with the American people. So please, I know how important it is to you, mainstream media, to be first. Why don't you do what we've tried to do for almost 100 years at WJR? Be right. Just a little editorial comment here.
Mm-hmm.
The views expressed by Mr. Smith are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WJR, but they should be.
Well, Dick would probably agree with this, but this is going to be tough to cover because every single state has different rules. And this is just going to be very, very interesting to watch.
I don't know how they can make an early call.
I don't either.
No.
Well,
It's just impossible.
Totally
Why do it?
You
Right.
only do it if you're trying to sway people into thinking one thing or another, and they think that they get extra points if they're the ones to tell you. But if they're wrong, I would keep track of anyone who does this and wouldn't do business with them at all. Meanwhile, on a different subject, and I've been carrying this around for a few days. Kim took some things in to be framed at a nice place here in Grosse Pointe called Posterity, like poster, posterity, posterity, framing and printing. And Sherry McInerney is the owner and has been there from years, from the first time I lived in Grosse Pointe a number of years ago. And easy to note, with her over 35 years experience, there's another woman working in there. And I said, well, tell me your name also so I can mention both of you because you have a great service here. And the other woman's name is Sherry also. So it makes it very easy for me.
The Sherrys.
The Sherrys. But what I saw over there, and you guys are probably very familiar, I live in a cave in a fog. Have you seen this museum quality glass for framing?
Mm-mm.
Museum glass. That's the official name, museum glass, but museum quality. They have a flower and they have regular framing glass that most of us are familiar with, and I think we used. And then they have museum glass. It's unbelievable, the difference. It's as if there's no glass on the picture at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the clarity, because it does away with all different reflections and shadows and whatever. The clarity is phenomenal. I didn't ask, but I'm sure it's more expensive.
Well, it should be.
Yeah, but it's well worth looking into. If you have something that's really important to you, if you want to get it framed and take good care of it, and obviously that's things that are important to us are the only things we are taking to get framed, at least ask about the museum glass. Man.
Does it make your wife's picture look like Mona Lisa?
Thank God, no.
Right.
I mean, my wife is
Mona's kind of old.
Mona Lisa. But it's really something, the difference. We have some fascinating facts about Election Day. Elections took place before the Constitution was ratified, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes is right. The English, in particular, conducted voting soon after they landed in Virginia in the 17th century. But not everyone could vote, and not every office was set up for election. But many colonies allowed white male adults who owned land to vote for legislators who served in lower assemblies. Number two.
I got so tired of the ads. Wow. Commercials just killed them.
In 1758, a young candidate in Virginia for the House of Burgesses footed a huge liquor bill to woo voters on Election Day. You might have heard of him before. It was George Washington. George Washington spent his entire campaign budget, 50 pounds, on 160 gallons of liquor served to 391 voters.
Wow.
I'll vote for him.
Yes.
Wow. His running mate was Jack Daniels.
Buying votes with booze was already a custom in England. Washington also was following a Virginia tradition where barrels of liquor were rolled to the courthouse lawns and polling places on Election Day. Isn't that amazing?
We need some of that today.
Weather and farming. Believe me, there'll be a lot of alcoholic beverages tonight and for the next several days. The weather and farming dictated when elections were held.
That makes sense.
Election Day was not a fixed day until the mid-19th century. And by the way, those election machines that I used to vote on, Dick used to, and did, probably not Dana, those old machines were really old, and the mechanical voting machine is now said to be extinct. The hanging Chad, if you remember your not too distant history, is pretty much extinct as well.
Wow.
Boy, what a time that was. People holding up the ballot, trying to decide if someone had pushed the Chad all the way through or not.
Wonder if they were made by Burroughs.
Right. Yep. It is 6:14 at News Talk 760 WJR.
Who remembers Burroughs? Except me.
I remember Burroughs, and nobody else remembers Burroughs because they've been long gone, as Ernie Harwell might say. But you're right, it was Burroughs, and just haven't heard a lot from them. They must have been bought out, taken over by some.
They were swallowed up. Yeah.
All righty, where were we? Well, we're at 6:15 now at WJR.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
We're all feeling the weight of COVID-19, but for kids in poverty around the world, things are becoming desperate. Join Compassion International and provide for a family in poverty. Make your one-time $40 gift. Text HOPE to 83393.
All righty, 6:15 at News Talk 760. We're going to just open the phone line, so we're going to depend on you to give us a call right now, and we'll get to you quickly. I know we don't take calls a lot in the morning. You're very busy running around, getting ready for work. Even if you're not leaving the house, you've got things to do or with the kids. But we're going to get you on quickly at 1-800-859-0WJR, 1-800-859-0957. Call now. And we'll hear what you have to say about this election. Have you voted? Are you on your way to vote? What's the experience like? What was it like voting early? Who's your candidate? Here's your chance to be heard. So let's do that right now. Let's line up the calls. 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Miss Dana is here with our WJR Traffic and Weather first.
Disabled vehicle in Port Huron, 94 westbound at Range Road. It is blocking the right shoulder. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
Not much to slow us down this morning. A lot of clear sky around. Temperatures chilly with a west breeze around. We'll keep that light breeze through early morning. Otherwise, sunshine and the wind backs off today, 56. Tonight, clear 44. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 65. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stajic on News Talk 760 WJR.
Paul W. here. Thanksgiving is around the corner, but not everyone in Metro Detroit is celebrating.